Okay, so kind of picking back up where we left off. So you're talking about being in those other countries and kind of how they view you, and kind of going over maybe those different barriers. And you talked about having to combat those barriers. What are some things that you do to help get over kind of that wall or that, miscommunication, or not miscommunication?
I went to Honduras a few weeks ago, and prior to that, I spent quite a bit of time working on my Spanish, honestly, because a lot of times when Americans or Europeans or whoever go to other countries, they don't take the time to learn the language or even try to, and so it's very difficult to communicate at all. And because I spent enough time learning, even though I'm not fluent by any means, I had a much easier time communicating than the other people that went with me because they knew no Spanish. And I guess just sitting like you and I are and just sitting and talking with people, because a lot of times when I've noticed when people go to other countries on like service trips or whatever, or tourist trips, they're in it for themselves. They're in it to do all these sorts of things, but they're not in it to learn about other people. Learn about their stories, learn about what they want to do. So, or what their faith or their struggles. All of those sort of things. And so, just sitting with people and for example, when I lived in Zambia last summer, this little girl, her name's Violet, she told me that I'm different from the other white people. I was like, okay, that's a little odd, a very odd sentence, but I asked her to explain, and she said, well, because you actually listen. So
that says a lot. You know what I mean? That especially about, it sounds like, what I would say is what sounds like respect. I mean, coming down to it, the idea that you're respecting their culture, you're respecting the fact that you are an outsider, and the fact you want to, you want to break down those barriers and be a part of.
But it takes time, and you just have to know that you're probably never going to truly fit in or truly understand, and so just, I guess, working on assuming, or not assuming what, preconceived notions, that's something I struggle with. You read everything on Google, about whatever culture you're going to, and then you go and realize that half of it's not true, so.
Sure. Yeah. And not making maybe those assumptions that we. Right. Well, then we just think about, if you were to meet someone in general, a stranger, you don't automatically, get buddy, it takes that time in building that trust experience. And to me, it sounds too like you're really more interested in getting into a deeper level with people versus maybe kind of more that superficial, just like, oh yeah, kind of you talked about.
I've seen a lot of, oh yeah, I'm here in this other country and I'm taking cute pictures with babies. I'm like, what? No. And I've done that before, unfortunately. That is something I regret, because I didn't go into that trip with the right mindset. I went into it with, this is an adventure, rather than, let's go learn about these people, let's see what they can teach me, this is, so I don't know.
Yeah, and kind of like you said, I think sometimes when traveling, people, forget, it does give you a chance to learn. It's not all about that Instagram picture, that picture that we put on social media.
Right.
But there can be kind of a deeper meaning, and you can gain a lot more versus.
Exactly.
Okay, so kind of going back, you talked about, what was I going to say? You talked about kind of school and how, or not school, but subbing at the school.
Right.
And how that's going. You had said kind of that had been a little bit frustrating lately, and so how many days a week would you say you sub at the school usually?
Well, basically every day, except Monday usually, because usually I'm here.
Okay.
But on average, out 3 to 4.
3 to 4. Okay.
Yeah.
What age group would you usually say?
I don't like going over 6th grade if I can help it. I've subbed at the high school a couple times, but it feels like I am more of a friend or the big sister or the daughter, because my brothers are still in high school and my mom is a teacher, and so I'm not seen as a respected figure. And when you try to respect the kids, but they don't respect you, that's a little irritating.
Sure, it sounds like that would be hard to do. And
yeah.
So for you personally, that's not an age group that you're a fan of being at this point?
Well, no, not as far as like teaching wise. As far as like interacting with them, you know, that's fine. I have several high school friends who I work with here, or I was in the play with. But and my brothers, you know, they have friends.
Yeah.
But overall, no, I told them, yeah, please don't ask me to come sub unless you have called everybody else. But yeah.
So what, for you, you kind of named a few things, but what would you say is the most frustrating maybe about that age group versus?
The most frustrating, I guess, is the lack of respect. And also with the teachers, I think, and I mean, this isn't their fault, but you can't plan on having any specific sub unless you request them in advance, so you don't know what you're getting. You don't know if you're getting a person who majored in underwater basket weaving. Like, you have no way of knowing if this person's intelligent or not. And so it's more babysitting. Like an overeducated, underpaid babysitter. Yeah. Like, that's basic, you know, that's what a sub is. But at the younger levels, sometimes they'll leave me lessons. And I'll get to teach. So, sorry. Yeah, but I don't know. I also think they think that they're adults, but they obviously aren't. And so they try to get away with a lot of things that they know that they shouldn't. I don't know.
Sure. Would you say you usually have to sub there very often? Does that really happen very often that you have to be there?
No, I haven't subbed there since February, because I just said I'm not going to anymore. And the elementary school and the middle school have been keeping me busy, and I sub over at Sumner too. And so, the only other one, as far as like little kids that I will never go back to, is kindergarten. Kindergarten was horrifying.
They were the two extremes.
The two extremes, the really, really young and the old. It was just constant badgering, constant whining, I guess. I guess I'm a very intellectual person, and so there are certain things that you just can't reason with a kindergartner. You just can't reason with a kindergartner. And like, at least with like second grade on up, maybe first grade, but second grade on up, you can reason with them. They may not listen to you, but you can reason with them. So yeah, my kindergarten day was horrifying. So
is that another thing? Are you in kindergarten very much, or just
I was there one day. Usually I am a specials teacher, second grade, fifth grade, or 6th grade, 7th grade. At Sumner, I float between 4th and 4th and 6th. 4th, 5th, and 6th. Their 6th grade is my favorite. So
really?
They're my favorite group of kids.
What makes them your favorite?
They're just good kids. They're just good kids. It's just a good group of kids. They're not, I mean, they're silly, you know, they're 6th graders, but they're not overly bad, and the ones that are, it's not their fault. They know, well, like, I know that they have home life issues, and so, like, I don't blame them for it.
Sure, it makes it easier to understand where they're coming from.
Right.
So you talked about kind of that frustrating kindergarten class.
Right.
When you do experience those frustrating classes, How do you go about maybe feeling better about that, or how do you kind of move on throughout the day when you're feeling frustrated?
Well, I try to stay positive, but when I have a break, I go to one of my friends and just, you know, I guess blow up. Sure. You know, just like, oh my goodness, these kids are you know,
just kind of a little letting it out.
Right. Yeah.
Is that in terms of, I guess, bigger picture outside of the subbing at school? How would you say you usually handle stress or frustration, or even frustration, not maybe even just stress?
I like to exercise, so, you know, as I said, I'm getting back into that, so that's helping with stress levels. But I'm a verbal processor, so I do talk it out with people, talk it out with friends, and sometimes I think people get tired of me like repeating myself, because sometimes, you know, with something irritating or something very stress-inducing, I talk about it a lot, but that helps my brain work through it.
Sure.
So yeah, I don't know.
But it sounds like you do have some great kind of mechanisms, and you kind of know what,
right,
for those things, like exercise is obviously a great one. Like you said, talking it out, and just that, you know, kind of like a thing like this where you get a chance to just leave it all out there and kind of express your feelings. I'm sure it probably helps a lot with things like that. So you had said this week you had, kind of talking about that specific class that you had, you had talked about there was maybe one, or let's go what happened with that one class.
So there was just one kid who, he would not do anything I said. He just wouldn't. He was defiant. And it was a computer class, so he was constantly on the wrong sites. He was constantly just making a ruckus, causing children around him to giggle and squirm, and just, you know, he was disrupting the whole class. And I could not get a word in edgewise because of this kid. So I just had to march him down to the principal's office, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't want to, you know, be that sub who constantly brings children, and I don't. That was one of the first times I've had to do that, but I just couldn't. This kid was impossible. He was just impossible. So yeah, and like he wasn't being like disgusting or anything, you know. Like I have seen kids being drug out of the classroom, you know, like kicking and screaming, you know, like one teacher on one arm, the other teacher on the other arm, as they're flailing and, you know, cursing, you know, like, so I saw 7-year-olds do that. But yeah, I don't know, it's just upsetting, because I know that this kid is not, if he had a more stable home, I'm sure he would be better. I'm sure he would be better behaved, and I'm sure he would not seek attention in the way that he does.
It sounds like you really take into consideration kind of that deeper understanding of, you know, usually those behaviors kind of have something behind them, and kind of taking that into consideration. You had talked about the play being over a little bit and things like that. Do you have anything else that's coming up new that the play's over? And
I'll be going on a church retreat next weekend. That's why I wouldn't be able to do Saturday. And then the next weekend I'm going to Nashville for my birthday. And so that's pretty exciting. But after that, not really. I'm planning a fundraiser right now, so that's a little stressful trying to get all that done, because I've never done anything like that before, a dinner theater. So yeah.
Tell me a little bit more. So when is that coming up?
June 22nd. I have a singer. He's going to perform. I want to do a dinner, silent live auction, concert, that sort of thing. But yeah, for the clinic that I worked at in Honduras. So yeah.
So have you started to get that planned out and get things, you said that was causing you a little bit of stress, what's causing you stress with that?
It just a lot of hurdles I didn't know that you had to jump through to make things official. I guess just my, I'm very naive in certain things. I'm, a young adult. But I had the worst trouble trying to find a place for a venue. I had the worst trouble trying to find a venue. It's going to be at the Holiday, thank goodness. The worst trouble trying to find an affordable singer. But finally found one. And he's not even that affordable, but he's the most affordable I was able to get. So, and now I'm just trying to find help so I can get the decorations, so I can get the tickets sold, so I can get the auction items. Because I would like it. I would like this to be a big event. So, yeah.
So you said it's for the clinic you worked at in Honduras. Kind of what brought you to think about doing that, or what kind of spearheaded that?
Because I was made aware of some money issues that they've been having. So they're very severe. I mean, they had some issues with people mishandling funds several years ago, and so they kind of put the clinic on the back burner as far as publicity, to try to save face, I guess. And people just don't know about it anymore. They don't know updated, and the people that really truly care about the clinic aren't in places of power anymore. And so it's honestly in danger of closing. And so, but the reality is if this is closed, people will die because they live in a place that is so far out in the middle of nowhere. The next hospital with surgical capabilities is a 20-minute plane ride.
Yeah.
So, I mean, something as simple as an appendectomy. If you have appendicitis and you're all the way out there, and there's no clinic to help, take out your appendix, well, you're dead.
Yeah.
Or if you're pregnant and, a lot of people out there are pregnant because birth control isn't really a thing. And you have complications and you need a C-section, but there's no place, then.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it sounds like this is very much coming from a place of caring and
right.
Your experiences, and it kind of sounds like it's combining all the different things that you. So is that something you're doing by yourself, or?
Well, I kind of spearheaded it because no one else was going to. And I've called official people and made sure everything was okay, and I crossed my T's, dotted my I's, and so pretty sure that it's finally getting going, which is exciting. But it's just making sure that it all lines up. Just want to make sure people come.
Sure, that's a big part of it, making sure. Is that something you're worried about at all, that people might not show up, or you might, you obviously have very big hopes for this?
Yes, I guess that is a fear, because I want to make sure people know about it, and that I know people that haven't been are going to care as much as as much as me, but I've seen what Olney can do. I've seen what Olney can do when they rally behind something, and so I do have faith that it's going to work, and at least bring awareness and maybe alleviate some of the immediate debt. I mean, it's not going to fix everything, they're still treating people that aren't even part of the cash economy. So, if they can't pay, then yeah. But so I don't know.
When you have maybe so it sounds like this has been a pretty big task to kind of start and get going. When you have something like a project, or maybe whether it's homework or a project or something like this, kind of what's your, I guess, maybe organization skills, or how do you go about attacking something like that?
Well, I really have very poor organizational skills. I know that about myself. So I'm actually trying to find somebody that has better organizational skills so I can like sit down with them and we can say, okay, this has been done, let's check this off because I know I need to do to-do lists. I know I need to, like do check marks, but I've just never been able to do those reliably, I guess. And so, but I guess when I spearhead a project or spearhead homework, I just have to do it, I guess. If I think too much, then I'll start overanalyzing, and say, okay, well, what about this? What about this? So like, on one of my days off, I went to OCC and I said, okay, here's the deal. And I went straight to the president, I said, this is what I want to do. And I was told that you are the person to talk to. And he said, well, unfortunately, this is a religious thing, so I really can't make OCC a part of this, officially, because it's a religious thing, but some student organizations can. So I went and talked to the student organizations. I didn't think about it too much, I just went and talked. Because I guess one thing at least with this, people aren't so concerned about statistics, I guess. They're not so concerned about, official things. I mean, yes, they're concerned about the official things and, crossing your T's and dotting your I's, but getting people to care about something, they want to hear the stories. They want to, so I've just been, I guess, telling the story the stories of the people that I met. But as far as in school, when I would do projects, I guess, going back to the last big one I did, a paper, just, I guess, gather all my sources and cite it as I go, I guess, because I'm one who ends up finding all sorts of things, but then I have to narrow it down, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
Would you describe yourself as someone who is, I guess, would you say you procrastinate on things, or are you pretty good at getting things done and being ahead of the game? And depends.
I work better under pressure.
Okay.
I do. On certain things. Mm-hmm. On certain things. But I also know that there are certain things you just can't procrastinate on. Like my last biochem paper, I knew I was going to have like 2 tests right before it was due, so I got it done as quick as I could.
Sure.
Because I wanted to get it done. But yeah, but then that's also stress-inducing because if I don't, if I hurry too much, then I won't get it as perfect as I want, and then I will, think about it way too much. I guess I'm a very anxious person, so I'll sit and ponder, what if this isn't good enough? What if this ends up being a C paper instead of an A paper, and what will that do to my grade, and how will that affect my future? And oh my goodness, yeah.
So you said anxious. For you, what does anxious look like when you are feeling that way?
When I'm anxious, lots of what ifs, and I overanalyze. I overanalyze everything. For example, honestly, with that paper, I sat on my bed for an hour, literally an hour, thinking about if it was going to be okay after I pressed submit. And I mean, of course everything was fine, but yeah, like, I was just going through all the scenarios. Okay, even if I fail, this will be my grade. And so, yeah.
Do you find that happens on multiple things or more school-related things? Or?
It just depends. It just depends. But the good thing is I know that about myself, so it doesn't happen very often. I'm not a very good public speaker though, so, which people wouldn't guess that about me. But if I don't prepare, then I say and I ramble, and it takes me 10 minutes to get to a 2-minute point. So I guess but yeah, a lot of what ifs, a lot of needing assurance that it's going to be okay. A lot of I guess what seems like compliment seeking, but I guess making sure I'm not, like, if I'm feeling dumb or whatever, and when people say, oh, you're not dumb, like, it's not a compliment seeking, it's okay, I'm actually not.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So kind of needing that reassurance and hearing that from people. Okay. Well, it sounds to me like you know yourself very well. It seems like you're very self-aware in terms of, what you're good at and kind of what you need extra help on, or maybe you kind of, support yourself in that way. So kind of looking forward and kind of thinking ahead for the next couple weeks for you, we kind of want to have like a goal in mind or kind of something that we could help you with out the idea of, you getting something. What would maybe be something that you would be interested in working on, or what do you see as something in your life that could use, that we could talk about more, or that we could maybe set a goal for to improve on?
Okay.
It could be a big picture thing, maybe something like stress, something like lowering your stress level. It could be maybe a more specific or kind of a mixture of the two, or if there's something you can think of too.
Probably working on, I guess, the stress level,
Okay.
probably.
Stress level.
And making, I guess not getting overwhelmed with the big picture.
Okay. Those sound like two things we could definitely work on throughout the week, or as we meet in the next couple weeks here. So Rachel, something for you in the next, because it sounds like it'll be a couple weeks till we meet. How about in the next couple weeks, kind of my homework or my challenge to you is in the next couple weeks, think of maybe the top 5 things that you would say cause you stress in your life right now.
Okay.
And kind of what those look like, and kind of just being able to identify those, what is causing you stress.
Right.
And then come in a couple weeks, we'll maybe kind of delve into some of those, and then also think of, okay, what are ways we can go about to proactively combat those and work to make them better for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and we will meet in a couple weeks.
Okay.